This is Matthew Kratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to answer the question about whether there are going to be any more Bitcoin bear markets or whether the cycle has broken. This was a question from Jason Ur 9994. He wrote in the comments section, the idea floating around is that now that there's institutional buying, we won't really see a boom and bust cycles for Bitcoin or crypto. What do you think of that? I think it's a very good question. It's important to remember from the beginning that there's nothing special about institutional investors. They're just people, and they're usually not especially smart or prescient either, which means that they're usually late to everything that really matters, like Bitcoin, for example. But they do control a lot of money, and so they can really push asset prices around. Institutions themselves that these institutional investors work at, institutions are run by fallible human beings who are more often worried about career risk than portfolio risk. There's this old saying that at companies, no one ever got fired for buying IBM or Microsoft or something like this. And it's the same on Wall Street. It's the same among the buy side and the sell side on Wall Street. No one ever got fired for buying Apple and Nvidia, for example. So there's a lot of groupthink involved with institutional investing. Institutional investors sometimes do make good decisions, but then they ruin them often by getting greedy and using too much leverage and blowing themselves up. Institutional investors coming to the stock market did not mean the end of bear markets, and their arrival on the Bitcoin crypto scene will certainly not mean the end of Bitcoin bear markets. In fact, just the very last Bitcoin crypto bear market from 2021 to 2022, that should be, was mostly caused by institutional investors doing really stupid things at places like Grayscale, Genesis, Three Arrows Capital, and FTX. In spite of this history, though, there's still people who believe in fairy tales like this. Brad Mills writing in this post, Bitcoin cycles are dead. The days of parabolic Bitcoin booms and devastating crashes are done. Bitcoin is inevitable, and we're at the beginning of the sailor cycle. Are you positioned for the next 100x in Bitcoin? I do believe Bitcoin's going to be going up 100x in the coming decade or so, but I do not believe that Bitcoin cycles are dead, and I don't believe that MicroStrategy, that strategy, and Sailor are going to save us from bear markets. This is exactly the kind of post, Brad's post here, that you might expect to see towards the end of a Bitcoin bull market. There was one from October 2021 by Welly Wu that was very similar. The last cycle, what will be this bull cycle top? In my opinion, there is no top, etc. That we're just going to go up forever. This is from October of 2021, and we peaked about a month later, a little bit over a month later. So I would agree more with Svetsky here that human psychology will never change. Cycles have nothing to do with Bitcoin and everything to do with people. The same boom and crash will happen this time. Bookmark this, and I do agree with that. I think that the cycles will continue, and there's a very good chance that we're coming to the end of the current cycle, which I want to talk about in a moment. But the coming bear market in Bitcoin will be exacerbated by many Bitcoin Treasury companies vomiting back up the Bitcoin that they gorged on during the bull market. Last cycle, everything started to blow up when the GBTC, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, when the GBTC premium disappeared. That blew up a lot of hedge fund trades. Something similar, I think, could happen this time around if we see the MNAVs of Bitcoin Treasury companies begin to contract across the board due to more competition in the space. So expect more forced selling from these vehicles, just as we saw forced selling from all the institutional investors who had various trades going on with GBTC. So how can you stay safe? Keep your Bitcoin off the exchanges, keep it in deep cold storage on a good hardware wallet like the Coldcard. Don't use any leverage. Don't trade using borrowed money. And also, I would say, this goes against much of the common wisdom today, but I would say don't own Bitcoin Treasury companies, and especially don't own the small cap ones that are unable to tap the public debt preferred stock markets as easily as large players like MSTR can. I think being able to tap these markets will be the difference between life and death in the coming bear market. So now's not the time to be careless. We've been going up for 3 years. The current bull market may be drawing to a close as we speak. There's this old pattern. It doesn't really work at the beginning of Bitcoin when you had very little trading, but the basic pattern began in 2015, where you have 3 up years, 2015, 2016, 2017. And the way we're measuring up years is we're measuring whether they're green candles, which just means the year closed higher than it opened. So 2015, 2016, 2017, 3 green candles, 1 red candle in 2018. And then that repeats again, 2019, 2020, 2021, 3 green candles and a red candle in 2022. That was, of course, the last bear market in Bitcoin. And now we've done the same pattern. We've had 3 up years, assuming this year it looks quite likely that we'll close above where we started the year. But this would be 3 up candles, and then 2026 would be a down candle, meaning, or a red candle, meaning that the year would close lower than it opened. So in these red candles, the opening is at the top of the candlestick, and the closing for that period is the bottom of the candlestick. For green candlestick, it's exact opposite. So for example, this year we opened it, call it 93,000, and we're now at 107 something thousand. So this suggests that we may be near the end of this cycle if this pattern continues. There's no reason this pattern has to continue. And the question, of course, will be, does this mean that you really should sell your Bitcoin and go to cash? That's certainly not what I'm going to do. I'm certainly not going to do it at the end of 2026 either. I'm sorry, at the end of this year, 2025 either. Problem with cash is it's a melting ice cube. And if the Fed does a big print, your cash will melt even more quickly, even as Bitcoin is pumping, and you won't be in Bitcoin, so then you'll be in big trouble. So that's not a game that I want to play. The only way to have really outsized returns in Bitcoin is simply to hodl. No one knows whether anything that I've said in this video will play out as I've suggested, and even I'm not going to trade my own prediction here, the 3 green candle, 1 red candle prediction, because the risk of missing out is simply too great, and Bitcoin is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You definitely don't want to sell your Bitcoin today or at the end of 2025 and then see it melt up to, call it 800,000. And then the bear market consists only of Bitcoin falling from $800,000 down to $200,000 per coin or something like that. I'm not sure how that would line up with the 3 green candles and 1 red candle, but you get what I'm talking about, that there are huge, huge risks to missing out. And the bear market might be bad, but it might end up bottoming above where we are today. So that's why I think it's very important to hodl. You just keep dollar cost averaging in. So that would, if the market fell from 800,000 down to 200,000, that would put in a bottom well above where we're trading today, as I just said. So I think the solution and the way I try to handle these things, I listen to Matt Odell. I say, stay humble, stack sats, keep your sats in cold storage, and just get on with your life. You don't have to watch price charts. You'll be much happier, in fact, if you stop checking the price, both during bull markets and bear markets, is a bit of a distraction. And of course, if you zoom out, there really are no bear markets in Bitcoin. So that's the good news for hodlers. This is a log version of the weekly chart, but we can see that Bitcoin really just goes up over long periods of time. And I expect this to continue because Bitcoin has no top, because fiat has no bottom. So expect the overall bull market in Bitcoin to continue, perhaps punctuated by a bear market coming your way early next year. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.